Hello, everyone. Happy Friday, and welcome to today's episode of Brew for Business podcast, where I interview local business owners and get a chance for you guys to get to know them and how to do business with them. Today is my last episode for now in Fort Collins. My special guest here, Hunter. We're going to talk about him and his company, Humm Accounting. We are today in Muggs, Old Town. Last week I did a scavenger hunt they have two locations. One is closer to the college campus. This one is in downtown area. Super cute. Really creepy paintings on the wall in some places. So we'll have to deal with our background as is. Without further ado, cheers to an awesome episode.
Thanks for having me.
So I cheated a little bit, and I have met Hunter before. Usually I meet people like live on camera, but we only did just talk for
briefly
in between meetings and all of that stuff. So are you originally from Colorado?
I'm not. No, I grew up in a small rural town in Virginia. Called Christiansburg. Yeah, it's kind of tucked down in the bottom southwest corner of Virginia. Very, very poor rural area in the south. So the next town over is where Virginia Tech is.
Okay.
So both my parents went to school there and then settled down in the area, didn't want to leave. And so I went to high school and then also went to Virginia Tech myself.
Nice. I love Virginia. My brother used to go to Liberty University.
Oh, yeah. In Lynchburg,
or no, he lived in where the university was. So yeah, in Lynchburg. And then he moved to Alexandria. Alexandria was much more...
After college, I mean, the DC metro area is not the same as the rest of Virginia.
No, it really isn't.
But that's after college. That's where I went first. Was the DC area. I lived in Fairfax and worked at Falls Church for about a year before also not really enjoying the DC area.
Yeah, I was like, so you went from very small town, very rural, to like the epitome of city
metropolis.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
And you were like, no, that's not for me.
Nope, sure wasn't. Yeah, I moved back in with my dad after leaving the DC area and washed dishes at a vegetarian restaurant. I saved up $800 and drove across the country in my 1999 Toyota 4Runner with a futon mattress and a duffel bag full of clothes in the back, and I lived in my car for 3 years in Southern California. So.
Okay, so San Diego area?
LA. Yeah,
LA, okay.
Like Marina Del Rey, Venice, worked my way up, Santa Monica, Topanga, and then up into Malibu. Again, not in homes. I just did the coastal strip and would surf in the mornings, rock climb in the afternoons, and I did the full real dirt bag. Yeah.
But if you lived in Virginia, where did you learn to surf? Or was it like, I'm going to move to California and figured it out as you went?
Yeah, I had friends that I grew up, like my whole family grew up traveling back and forth to the Outer Banks, North Carolina. So a little bit, it's not the same as West Coast, but I've been on a surfboard before.
Okay.
So
you got like the tease of the water.
Yeah. I didn't realize that when the mountains, on the East Coast, the beach is long, like the Tidewater region of Virginia is very long, and so the beach is very like slow and gradual going out into the ocean. California, like the mountains crunch up against the ocean.
There's very little beach.
So the surfing is dramatically different.
I lived in San Diego for a brief period of time.
Oh, cool.
Which I loved. And then we traveled up to LA, and then a couple of years ago I did like the whole strip. I drove from San Diego up to San Francisco and got to see all the things that I never got to see before.
If I was ever going to do Southern California, like for real, for like a lifetime or for a chunk of life, it would be San Diego. It's got everything you love about Southern California and then not the things that you don't like about LA.
Right.
Yeah.
And I remember that like wherever you were in San Diego, like no matter where you wanted to go, it was like 15 minutes. There's like so many like highway systems and stuff. Like it was like, oh, you want to go there? It's 15 minutes. I'm like, everything is.
It's the opposite of being in a place where you want to go 3 miles and it takes an hour and a half.
Yeah, exactly. So how did you go from California to Colorado? Because you traded the beach. Here we go. Hey, just kidding.
Yeah. So I spent 6 years in the LA area. 3 of those were living in my truck, and then I got an apartment. My sister actually graduated college at CU Boulder, and wanted to move out with her big brother in California. So we got a place together, and for 3 more years. And then I had been working at a CPA shop, getting enough hours for my license, doing a bunch of bookkeeping for business clients, as well as tax, like all the kind of big, extreme, intense tax seasons for 4 or 5 years, and didn't want to keep doing the tax season thing. So I left that firm and tried to start my own little like startup, raise some money. And then COVID happened, and Meg, I met my wife, my time girlfriend, but now wife at that point. Well, we don't want to be in LA for COVID. We also don't want to raise a family in LA, so let's go ahead and get out of here. And we weren't going to move back to my hometown and go to Virginia, but she grew up in Denver, and I have an aunt that lives in Denver. Has been there since the 90s, and my sister went to CU Boulder, so we've got a lot of like connection to Colorado. So I spent 2 years in Denver after leaving California in 2020.
I love that. So did you mentioned kind of your CPA, like numbers, financing and stuff like that, like in the middle of that. So how did you decide? Because, you surfer guy, you don't typically think of as, the
I'm
financial.
not the typical accountant.
No.
You mean, is that what you're saying? I'm not the typical accountant.
No, because it's usually like you're very personable, right? You're very social, and it's usually like a very split personality. Like from accounting, people are very like structured and very like.
Sure.
So how did you get drawn to that world?
Well, I studied finance and accounting in college, and it really came from, and I've told this story many times, but my dad he grew up in a much like more rural and even poorer area than we did, but he worked his whole life basically just to save enough money to put his kids through college. But I graduated from high school in 2009, which was right after 2008. And so he was only like, I had to take student loans out to pay for most of college, and he reverse mortgaged our house basically to send my sister out of state to CU, which like his only goal and dream in parenting in life was to save enough money to like put his kids through college, since he didn't have that as a luxury with his family. My dad, he worked a double on Saturday and worked a double on Sunday so that he could get 32 hours and be considered full time, just so he'd have benefits, and then go to school like part time and during the week. All through college, and it took him, more than a normal 4 years just to get a single bachelor's degree. So when all that happened in 2008, I was like, I don't know. I feel compelled to make sure that nothing like that ever happens to anybody that I know and care about ever again. So that's kind of how it started. Then I went to DC, didn't like the financial services company I was working for, kind of threw all that out the window. That's when I became a dirtbag, and then in Southern California, kind of found my way back to it naturally by meeting some business owners and meeting some CPAs and starting to work as a contractor. I've never had a boss. I've never been good at working underneath other people, but I've had contract gigs. I've been a freelancer, done my own couple of startups and businesses, and that's kind of how I wandered my way back to it.
Yeah. Oh, that's so cool. And what did your dad do for work, you said?
He's an engineer. But he was a public servant. He worked in local government. He was the town administrator for like our small town in the south. But he was also the town engineer, and he did all the infrastructure and stuff for the town.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
So you always had like the entrepreneurial spirit, but you didn't really have like, not within your family, where you were just like, I don't want that situation.
Yeah, I mean,
so I'm going to make my own.
My first job was pushing grocery carts at Fort. Like to get a job at 14, I had to go to the court, and like you have to get a work permit. You have to like convince the judge that you actually want to work, rather than where I come from. It's like families are forcing their kids to work to like provide for the family.
Right. Free labor.
Exactly. Yeah, and like a lot of farming, a lot of like agriculture and farming communities and stuff like that too. So I did that at 14. Got a job pushing grocery carts at like our local grocery store, and realized very quickly that like it was really kind of physically difficult for me to work for people that were less intelligent than me, and the manager at the grocery store I was working at was very much that, even at 14. And so from that point, I just been like, I'm going to be better off on my own. It's not a good fit.
Yeah. That's such a cool realization, and like to have it like that young too. So were you always like super aware, like kind of people watching in a sense?
In some ways, I guess, like maybe like really kind of just in that way. Like I like almost didn't get into college at all. Like I graduated high school, but like almost didn't make it into Virginia Tech to get into college. There was a lot of things and I like didn't think about or apply to any other schools. That wasn't like a goal or anything like that. So I think in some ways I was very socially aware of certain things, but like the trajectory of life and kind of like where like I never thought about that really.
You just want to control over your own
Yeah.
schedule, your own
exactly.
day.
My day to day, yeah. And I do dream like pretty far in the future, but the steps between here and there like have never concerned me. I'm more doing. I'm not very self-reflective, I guess. I'm more like I'm just acting. Like I'm just things are just happening.
Yeah.
I don't really take the time to stop and reflect or yeah.
Yeah, I think it's hard as business owners. There's so many things that you have to manage that it is hard to take that time to really sit. I mean, even sometimes to like take a break, I'm like, oh, but there's so many things I have to do, and there's people expecting and deliverables.
Yeah, totally. I mean, which is interesting because as I say that, it's all like I also have like a pretty serious and consistent meditation practice, but that is very, very different than just like sitting and reflecting.
Yeah, because you're not supposed to think about anything.
Yeah,
when you're doing that.
That's the practice, right? Yeah.
Yeah. To meditate and plan is not
the same.
No, it's definitely not. So when you said you started and you did like a lot of freelance stuff, how did you get into that? Like, how did you get hired to do
so I met
accounting?
the first guy I met at, like I was surfing at the beach and met a guy who had a small business, and he actually originally hired me. He was like, hey man, like I see you living in your truck. Do you want to come up to my ranch in Malibu and I'll pay you $100 a day to do manual labor? We got to like build a fence and fix the chicken coop, and we were digging post holes. And I was like, that sounds great. That's more money than I currently have.
Yeah.
So I did that for a while, and then became like he and his partner both had businesses. So I was like, I went to business school. I can do the admin stuff, bookkeeping, whatever it is. Started doing that. They introduced me to their CPA. He was like, I have a bunch of other clients that are like this that need this kind of stuff. You seem like a good guy. Like, if you want to do all that, we'd rather not continue doing it in-house. So he just started kind of like feeding me small business clients around the kind of Malibu, Calabasas, Westlake Village area, and kind of northwestern LA County. So
all of that started just from the one relationship built with the other surfer.
Yeah.
Did you guys like see each other often? You would
we
like chat
built
it
a
up?
relationship over time after I got there. Like I got there and we'd see each other at all the same places and got real well connected.
That's like the key that they always say, like and I know how it works. I mean, I built my entire business kind of in that same realm, right? It's just relationships that I built.
Yeah.
But they've always said like, it's like, you could build a relationship with someone, and we know it's like, in some cases, especially if you go like a networking event, like it's going to lead to business and stuff. But if you focus on the personal,
totally.
And if you have something in common, right? Like you guys had surfing, that was like where you connected, and then you naturally built that trust.
Everything I've done has been with that focus. Like outside of that, the next kind of most important relationship I built was met a guy, like a young guy like me at the climbing gym, like that was just in that area. And then the way I say it is like I kind of like spider webbed through his whole net. Like he grew up there, and so like his like parents, like we, it became where like over the next couple of years, like his family would travel for Thanksgiving, and so then my entire family would come to LA, even though I didn't have a house, because we would house sit for him and his family for Thanksgiving, and then we would have our own Thanksgiving at his parents' house. Yeah, like it just became this like relationship, like spider web that happened. And that's kind of how I approach everything. And to throw a little shout out too, there's like I learned a lot of that through another kind of like business network, and it's not a network, it's more of like it's a community, and they have a membership and events that we go to called Big Water, and they're like they are this whole concept like through and through. It's one of the most incredible places I've found. And have collected humans through it. And
it's focused around adventures, right?
Well, not just events. They have like big events that are 100+ people, maybe 2 or 3 times a year. They've got small, more kind of like focused, not mastermind, but like there's only 20 or 30 people, and so everyone gets dedicated time on their business that everyone else is supporting them with. Yeah. And then they have a couple of adventures. We go on a ski trip, we go on a river trip. So it's very like holistic. Like this is life we're doing together, and business is one piece of that. Like even to throw out the whole like work-life balance, it's like kind of even just subconsciously that almost denotes that like it's a balance of like half and half of those two things. It's like no, work is a part of life with also all of the other parts like split in equal quadrants, in my opinion. Like you've got family, you've got hobbies, you've got exercise and movement, you've got friends, social, business, like all of those different components deserve equal amounts of attention, and that's not really how our economy and like our global economy is currently built, but I think that a lot of people will agree that we're, all working towards that.
Yeah, because it's for so many years, it's like the hustle and the grind, and you have to work more and do more
and
and
like
do
the
less.
concept of retirement.
Right.
Like I don't think nobody my age that's doing business is like, well, why would I love what I'm doing. It's like it's hard at times, but like so is life. So like, but what is this concept of retirement? Like,
right.
It doesn't make any sense. So I'm not gonna take all my good years and put them towards something that I'm not really enjoying, with the idea that when my body's not what it could or used to be, now I get to travel and do all these other things I did. I don't know. It just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make any sense. Yeah.
It doesn't. How did you get involved with that group that you mentioned?
So similar thing like that. Like I had someone that I worked with who went to high school with the founder, and she was like, "Hey, you and this guy like very much alike. You guys should probably just connect and get on a call." So I got on a call. The way they did it back then was because I got connected through one of the founders. The other founder does the initial interview to invite you to an event, which I thought was really cool. So we did that initial interview. They invited me to my first event, and I went to that in late 2017.
Nice. So, but it's good because they vet everybody before you join.
Yeah, it's not like a personal connection. Like, oh, you're in because I know you and you're cool. It's like, okay, well, we're gonna
make sure you provide value and you know,
holistic value, right? Not just and it's a no pitching. Like there's no pitching environment. Like it's such a cool. Yeah, I could talk about it all day. Yeah.
But I love that concept of it too.
Yeah.
And then you have like that alignment. So outside of the business work. And like the conferences and things like that, you guys do organize different get-togethers as well.
Totally. I mean, most of the closest core people that I've met have like been to my house and stayed in my basement with my wife and my 2-year-old and 5-year-old, and brought their kids if they have them, or their partners, and like we've gone I've traveled across the country to visit these people to just spend a long weekend or a week with them and do things. Yeah.
If you were to say if there's one kind of outlier connection or similarity between the clientele that you have built to now, is there anything that stands out for that? Like a type of person?
Or two?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. The first one the first one is more kind of broad and general, which is you have to be hungry or eager to learn about accounting. I love to say that my whole job is to convince people to fall in love with accounting. And it's a ridiculously hard mission because it is the driest thing that exists, and I feel that way too. But when you can figure out a way to when I think about the brain and memory and how we store information and things like that, it's you only the reason school doesn't work for so many people is because it's not useful. You will remember the things that are necessary.
Pythagorean theorem, I've never used.
Why?
Go ahead.
Yeah, exactly. And they said we would never have a calculator in our pockets. You can't use a calculator in your test. What do we all have? We have a calculator in our pocket.
Exactly.
Crazy. It's we built that just to prove our teachers wrong. Right.
100%.
So anyway, but the goal, I call it this founder to CEO transition, right? And it's for every founder who's just out there selling and doing ground and pound work, of if I'm gonna run out of money in my bank account, okay, well let's go sell more stuff. And it's okay, that works for a while, but what if you understood the underlying system of double entry accounting and how it affected your business, and you could make your business and processes more efficient through measurement, and then go sell more stuff? Why wouldn't you do that, right? And so you have to. And that's part of my job as the relationship connector, kind of glue of the company, because a lot of technical accountants aren't very good at that part, or helping people understand that that's necessary. So we're trying to do podcasts and content and things like that to really start preaching that gospel of look, this isn't just hey, I don't want to pay taxes, so I hate my CPA. This is the lifeblood of your business, and if you understand it in a real way, so that kind of understanding or hunger for that learning needs to be stronger than your disdain for technical skill and for paying taxes. And if that balance is proper, then you're going to be a great client. The second one I'll say, which is totally different, is actually just really strong, independent type A women. A lot of our technical CFOs are that, and so they just end up connecting and working really well with women that are that way. I would consider myself a fairly kind of soft, emotional man, and so as far as the emotional spectrum goes, having men that are more towards the middle, as well as having natural, like kind of women that tend towards the like kind of badass technical like boss ladies, like they end up becoming really good clients.
The boss babes.
The boss babes are amazing clients for us, and we love supporting and working with them. A lot of our, like I said, a lot of our CFOs are technical, so we also will sometimes run into stuff with some of those like masculine men that can't handle taking financial advice from awesome women, which is a whole weird thing in itself. And so like we don't have very many of those because that's what our team is made up of, is awesome women.
And if the client doesn't get it, then that's not
and like
for
I
you.
protect my team over my clients any day. Like team
Love
first,
that.
client second. Like we fired clients for how they treat our team before, and we will continue to do so till we don't exist as a business. Like I won't choose money over my team any day.
Love that. And that's part of the culture that you've established too, you know, which
totally.
is great to hear because of most people. I worked in the customer service field for years before I got into sales, like when I was younger. And it was always like, oh, the customer's always right? So it's so nice to hear like a boss say, you know what? The customer is not always right. Sometimes they're a dick and they deserve to go.
And sometimes it's case by case. Like sometimes they're right and sometimes my team makes material mistakes, and that has happened. And if that person is going to cut ties or become angry or whatever the emotional reaction is, like, you're probably not a good, like, we're all human. We're humans running human businesses, and there's humans on either side. We've got clients on one side. I've got a team on the other side. I'm the glue in the middle, trying to build really good systems that support everyone. We're going to stumble. Like, we're going to make mistakes. Things are going to happen. Not that we don't need to, like, make good on those mistakes. And, like, because we've made mistakes that have had a financial impact on our clients, and then we figure it out and make good on that financially, right? And, like, if that's a process that people are willing to work through, it deepens and strengthens the relationship that we have with our clients as opposed to the opposite, right? And so if people can understand, and again, women are way better than that than men, naturally, and like just kind of across the board. Not all men, not all women. But yeah.
Have you hired any men like throughout?
We have.
You've been in business
a couple.
How many years?
Humm in its current state has existed for 6 years. I've been practicing as a CPA for closer to 12.
Nice.
So yeah, we've hired men. We have one out of the 15 or 16 people we have on our team currently. Have one man other than me. We'll hire more in the future as we can find the right ones. Because when you're going out to fish in the pool or like fish in the pond, like the technical women are actually easier to find than the soft men in business in general, because that just from history, it's been a thing where women have been kind of building skills and preparing themselves to take on the patriarch, for lack of a better term, the male dominated business world. And men are just now starting to realize that their emotional intelligence is required to be good in business. And so it feels kind of natural, and there's just more options and opportunities for me as a business owner, right? Like, I'm looking for efficiency. Right. And so there is the altruistic part where, like, I love taking care of and building a system that supports awesome women, both for my team and for the clients as clients. But it's also just a kind of like it's an easy business decision to make. Like, it's built in, it's happening naturally.
And you want people that feel and think like you do too, like core values,
for
right?
Sure. Yeah.
And that
on the client side and on the team side.
Right. And that's what you like seem from what I've heard and all that. That's what you seem to have attracted, like,
totally,
for as long as you can in your business.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. Which just means, like, you are authentic, you are who you are. There's no, like, filter, there's no bullshit, right?
Yeah.
And then the two is just that, like, obviously, like, you admit that. Like, everything that you do, obviously, like, comes across because then the right people do find you.
Yeah. And I do spew bullshit all the time. But not in that.
You heard it here.
I'm very serious. I'm very serious when it comes to that.
Yeah.
There's very few other areas of my life where I'm very serious. So lots of bullshit.
I think you do have to have that balance because accounting is so serious. You can't really joke around numbers like, oh, sorry, there's a $20,000 deficit.
Missed that one. Oops. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, so you have to have the balance in between.
But yeah, I said this earlier today. There aren't many things that I care about in general, but because there's only very, very few of them, I care very like intensely and deeply about those specific things, and the rest I'm like, it's gonna figure itself out. It's all good. But like there are those like kind of core tenets of my being, and because of that, it's rippled out into my business and how I built it.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you actively look for clients now, or is it more, it's kind of fed to you through those relationships? So
a lot of that, but I'm still like I'm going out and doing like local, like I'm really more. I've never done this before, but just in the last few months, I've started to really go out into the local Fort Collins community. There's so many good local small businesses here that would be amazing clients. The families and owners of those businesses and the people that are just in this community, it's really easy to understand that they align pretty much across the board with all the things that we talked about and what I care about. And so I've really started to tap into that more. And like, you can tell from this conversation, like I really like the one-on-one and the like direct engagement and being in person. Now, I do think it is necessary that we will eventually build better systems and process for like more traditional marketing and paid media and like going to get clients from like more of like a mass scoop production perspective. But that for me to have the energy and time to put into that, I've got to be doing the other thing that fills my cup, right? Because that stuff is not that exciting to me, but it's necessary, right? For a business. So,
but you'd rather meet the person, build that relationship.
But I also know that this business isn't scalable with me doing one-to-one only. Like, it'll work for now, but it's not going to work.
You'd have to have a whole lot of meetings every day.
Yeah, and I love them. I can talk all
coffee.
day. Yeah, exactly. I'll talk all day long, but there's a cap. It's like it's based on my hours and my time, and that's not the business I'm building.
Because your team needs your time as well.
Totally. Yeah. And so we do strategic partnerships also, where like I find another founder, and that founder may be working in a business that's either a service business or another network or group or community or something like that, where we're their preferred accounting partner for a specific industry or something like that. Like those relationships I spend a lot of time kind of cultivating and building those relationships because they can be very lucrative for us, and kind of if I align with that person in all these same ways, it's really likely that their customer base, their clients, their members, whatever it is, also align with them.
Yeah.
And so like it just kind of does the glue thing, because then we get to do that spider web thing through their network and community, and then just make sure the economics line up for everybody.
Yeah, and you get to avoid the traditional marketing a little longer.
For sure. Kick that can as long as I can. Yeah.
But listen, at the same time, though, it's capacity, right? Like you could throw all the money you want into marketing, and you could have 50 leads come your way, but again, your time and your schedule, right?
It's a whole like department and system, right? It's like you're not just going to throw. I'm not just going to like take a clip of a video of me and start throwing money at it. Like you have to have the whole. It's a whole department and ecosystem within our business that needs someone managing it, multiple people managing it. There's different components of it to like make it really work. So we're in the process of starting that design and build, like the design and build of that like whole department.
Yeah. And so what are the services that you do offer now?
We offer, within a business, we offer bookkeeping, controller, and fractional CFO services. And then we do tax and tax planning for the businesses and the owners of those businesses. Mm-hmm. That's the elevator version of what we currently do. Yeah.
And did it start where you kind of handled all of it, or did it evolve to that?
It started with I worked as a fractional CFO myself as a freelancer for like 5 businesses for friends that I met through these various communities and just like that own businesses.
And for those of them who don't know, what is a fractional CFO? Like, what is it?
So it's funny. So I break it up into 2 components. Like a business that does 1 to 25 million in revenue, which is our kind of sweet spot for service, does not need a traditionally defined CFO. That's for big businesses.
Right. Someone like in-house, full-time, salary.
And like once businesses get to a certain size, like medium-sized businesses, publicly traded companies, like all businesses eventually become like financing and investment institutions, right? So like, where can we put money that's going to give us a higher ROI than our current operations from our business? Mm-hmm. And then what are we using and leveraging from the bank or from other investors or other like finance mechanisms or debt to put into those investments? And that's what a CFO does. Like that's from the top down. Like the CFO has an entire team of people who's in charge of validating it and figuring out how to do that to report, like to generate income and then report to a board. No businesses that we work with at our size have gotten so far that they no longer focus on their operations and are now just financing and investing activities. So it all mirrors or follows operations. So like a CFO at like a fractional CFO will do what I'll call one of two things: FP&A, which is financial planning and analysis, which is budgeting, forecasting, cash flow analysis, financial modeling, scenario analysis. Those are kind of like the big flashy things that most people think of as fractional CFO. But really what I care more about is systems and process. So like if you have bookkeeping is, categorization, reconciliation of bank accounts, controller level work would be sales tax, payroll, AP, AR, some of those kind of like functional, operational finance, like it's a crossover between operations and accounting, or operations and finance.
Right.
And then the CFO, the systems and process part is like, can you automate and integrate as much of the controller and bookkeeping level things that are happening within the business as possible to reduce drag and therefore reduce cost? Because if you can get all of that stuff done more efficiently, then more of your accounting and finance budget is now available for the FP&A stuff, which is what drives value by helping owners make decisions based on all of those, that, like, call it a financial reporting package that happens after the books are closed.
You have to understand where you are to know like where you're going to go.
Yeah, so like the closing of books, like bookkeeping and controller, and then like a monthly closing process for a set of books is traditional accounting. That's historical.
Yeah.
And then your FP&A stuff is all built on top of that, mostly looking forward. And then the CFO needs to automate as much of that entire process as possible. And then the real, like, cherry on top is sitting with the business owner, now coaching and teaching them how to understand their financials, understand their reporting package, and then use it to make decisions to grow their business in a way that they used to just kind of, for lack of a better term, fuck around, find out.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
well, listen, because it's that personality. Most people that are entrepreneurs are like kind of like that action mindset, right? We're like, we're creative. You're just like, I've got this great idea. I'm a great salesperson. Numbers.
I know, and most people. So this is where the like fall in love with accounting piece comes in, because most people hit at some point, and it's different for every industry and it's different for every business owner. Because at this size of business, every business is as unique as the person who owns it and runs it, right? And so everyone hits a glass ceiling at some point. Sometimes it's $750K, sometimes it's 15 million. It just depends. Yeah. But at some point, everyone will hit that glass ceiling, and I think that the reason that ceiling gets hit is because you are intelligent enough and have grown your business to a point where you have been able to intuitively make decisions about the next step of your growth and what needs to happen, so that you can continue ticking up the stairs of growth, right? Yeah. So you have enough information by like looking at your bank account balance, or like understanding like how many people you have on payroll, how many clients you have, and you can intuitively, subconsciously make those decisions. Yeah. At some point, the size, either dollar of revenue or the complexity of your operations, become too large for you to do that intuitive and subconscious calculation inside your body. You can't do it anymore. So you stop making decisions, and you don't even know it, and you don't know why. Yeah. So the whole point of doing any internal accounting is to build a system where you now have the information you need in a form that you understand, so you can start making decisions again. And that's the difference between management reporting, which is all things internal, CFO, controller, bookkeeping stuff, and compliance. Compliance, like you can spend a very little bit of money and get your books done that are necessary to file a tax return that then turns into your personal tax return. That's compliance accounting or compliance reporting. Management reporting is the other side of that coin, which is this is how you truly develop and grow your business. So.
Yeah, you need to know all of it, and all of those roles do play a different part. The CFO is not necessarily going to be the one doing your bookkeeping, right?
Totally.
They
could, for sure, but it's a bad use of it's inefficient. It's a bad use of energy and resource. Yeah. And a lot of CFO firms will just do the fractional CFO stuff, but also they're not validating or looking at the numbers or the books being closed. They're not looking at the controller level stuff, and so they're in a lot of ways spending a ton of money building a house of cards. So not only is it a waste of the high, expensive fees that you're paying a CFO, but if the business owner is trusting that CFO, they're now making decisions on bad information, which is even worse than the like $5,000 a month you're spending on a fractional CFO that's now useless information.
Right. So, yeah. I kind of learned the hard way. I worked with a company last year and was getting like the reports, and I'm like, this is great. Everything looks fine. I'm like looking at it. Then come to find out months later, they weren't counting like my owner draws and like my totals.
On the balance sheet.
Right.
Those
So
are-
like,
yeah,
yeah. So the reporting that I
Yeah.
got was not an accurate look of
right,
the
because you're
numbers
providing
of the
value
profit that I
to
was
your
making.
business. Yeah, but it's not being taken into account when you look at your P&L.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you have to
Yeah.
adjust for that. That's proper compliance reporting, but that's not proper management reporting, so that you can make decisions about how to grow,
Yeah.
like what margins you have that are available to reinvest.
Which were like none,
Exactly.
which I didn't know.
Yeah, exactly. And most businesses, and there's a huge difference between those two things, and you have to be able to reconcile and account for that, and teach
Yeah.
people that those are different.
Right.
Yeah.
It helped. Again, not a numbers girl, so for
Yeah,
me, it's
totally.
like, yeah.
Yeah.
But the other side of that too, so like, CFO could do the bookkeeping, not best use of it. But same thing with the vice versa, which a lot of people don't seem to understand from like the world. The more I've learned about accounting, the more I talk to other business owners, a bookkeeper is also not the one that's going to help you with your planning.
Absolutely not. It
Right.
shouldn't.
Right. They're transactional.
Totally.
Their job is to keep the records.
Yeah, I mean,
accurate.
and that's another interesting thing about the whole industry is that you get into situations where people like don't understand that they can't expect that kind of that level of service from someone they're paying $25 or $30 an hour to.
Right.
It's like, you run a business, right? Like where's the disconnect here? And there's a whole other episode we could do on the macroeconomics of the accounting industry over the last 50 to 70 years, but it makes sense to me. Like I know where we came from, and it makes sense why the breakdown has happened in the way it has. So,
Right. Plus, people want the one role to fit multiple hats, one less hire.
They think
have
if
to
I'm
do.
wearing every hat, then why won't the $25 an hour person I'm hiring also wear all the hats? And it's like, well, how much are you getting? What's your effective hourly rate?
Right. This is
It's
a
not
big
25.
gap.
It's not 25.
Big difference in between the two.
Yeah.
There's a reason for that. And I would assume also like different levels of education and certification and stuff that you would have to have anyway.
Totally. Yeah, and skill set. It's nothing against the bookkeeper. It's just
They're needed.
Yeah, totally.
Because you guys need to have
honestly,
the accurate
like,
records.
If you compare those two things, like our service it cost a premium above that. Like we don't have $25 an hour bookkeepers. We have $50 to $70 an hour bookkeepers, and like we call them bookkeepers. That's the title of their role, but they're classically, technically trained accountants. Mm-hmm. They're not. We call her Aunt Bonnie. Like Aunt Bonnie is who most people understand or have had as a bookkeeper before, and she was the sister-in-law of a guy who ran a construction firm who didn't want to pay for bookkeeping, and her kids are out of school now, and so now she needs something to do.
Yeah,
like
and you're like
nothing against Aunt Bonnie.
Gold.
Yeah, like nothing against Aunt Bonnie, but like I'm not trusting Aunt Bonnie with the ecosystem of what we just described and talked about.
Yeah, especially like the high level, like the range too of like the revenue that you deal with clientele.
Yeah.
You can't have those oops moments.
Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't work well.
Yeah, because they, shit rolls uphill, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, is that the saying? Like, it's like anything that happens at that foundational level, like the controller and the CFO need to be able to trust that everything's done tight so they can do their jobs efficiently and the whole ecosystem is functioning properly.
Yeah. So in your mission to help business owners fall in love with accounting, like how do you approach that? Like what's kind of like if someone were to like reach out to you and be like, all right, I know I kind of need it, but I don't get it and I don't love it. Like, what would be your? I
would say the first call I have with anybody, I'm talking a lot about a lot of this stuff, but what the frame that I'm going with is I'm trying to help people understand how they should approach accounting as a service. Like that's the first step. Is like understanding how I should be treated by an outsourced accounting firm, an outsourced CFO, an outsourced tax preparer. What should I be thinking about as I verify or validate which provider I want, right? Like all the way to there's rules of thumb about how much of your revenue, like a percentage of revenue that you should be spending on accounting services every single year, right? And so like that's kind of the 30,000 foot view all the way down to well, it can be a choose your own adventure. Like there are parts of this that like you can take ownership over and do yourself, especially if you have an operator internally. It's not just the business owner doing everything. Like you can do your own payroll, you can do your own AP, you can use all the software systems and technologies so that your accounting is less expensive. But what's the best use of their energy, time? What should be out? So it's more of like understand the market and the industry. That kind of start there, and that makes people go like, oh. So you're not just an accountant telling me that you can do things that are either more valuable or less cost than the next guy. You're helping me understand how this entire industry functions and how I should connect or relate to it.
Yeah.
And that's a good hook. I think most people like that.
Yeah.
They like that I start there. And then I get the big hook at the end.
I get it. Yeah. Well, because that's a big thing. I think that there's a lot of people not familiar with it. I think they just associate accounting with like taxes,
Oh,
right?
absolutely. Yeah,
But
tax is a type of accounting.
right,
Yeah.
and it has like the like a CPA that does like your taxes has like that one role of like taking whatever numbers you give to it.
Totally. And if you actually read a detailed engagement letter from a solo like boutique tax practitioner, it clearly says in there like, we are not validating this information. We are purely taking what you gave us and filing it and stamping our firm and my name on it.
Yeah.
That's literally what they're doing.
Yeah. And done well, like if your numbers are accurate and if you work with an accounting firm throughout the year, like your expenses could be different. Like your,
Totally. I mean,
because things are categorized.
And it's part of why people have this weird expectation that they should be able to get a business and personal tax return for $500 for like an entire year. It's like, that business model doesn't exist. Like that business model doesn't exist anymore. That's not how this works.
Yeah.
And you need all the other pieces in there with it. And that same thing, like our tax team looks at the books throughout the year and makes sure like, oh, well, the owners are getting paid salaries and they have withholdings and 401ks and health insurance, and all that stuff is done properly inside the business because of how it affects the compliance tax return. So there's just like kind of reciprocal like feedback loop between the business and the owners, more so in partnerships and S corps than in C corps, yada yada, whatever. But yeah, like that's again why we built our business model, is to have all that synergy happening inside of one shop, because business owners in most cases have always been required to have a relationship with their bookkeeper, if they have a fractional CFO, their tax preparer, their lawyer, their estate planning attorney, or what like they're just,
and none of those people talk to each other.
Then none of the people talk to each other, and the business owner doesn't speak any of their languages. It's like I don't speak Portuguese.
Uh-huh.
Like I speak English, and the lawyers speak Spanish, and the accountant speaks Portuguese, and
you have a whole lot of information.
Nobody talks to each other. Yeah,
that you don't understand.
It's all there, and it's all available to be used for synergy and efficiency.
Yeah.
But nobody's doing it. It's such a anyway.
Yeah, which is nice that you have then all in house, because obviously then all of your partner
toward that with wealth management, financial planning. Again, it's a long-term plan, but like we want that as a piece of this like synergy and efficiency, where like all the internal centralized systems and information is there, and then the technical people and the relationship people just plug into that, get what they need, they can do their work, and everything's seamless and frictionless.
Yeah, and the wealth management side would be more of like for investment. Like, okay, so where we have
asset management,
asset
but also insurance. Like, I mean, think about a business owner that has two partners. Like, there should be a buy-sell agreement in place so that the wife or husband of the partner doesn't then step in and now become 50% owner with someone who they've never run a business with, but there's not enough cash for that owner to buy out the surviving spouse. Like, you need a buy-sell agreement for that. Like, you need a lawyer and a financial advisor or a wealth manager for that. Like, asset management is a piece of it, but like estate planning and trusts and wills, trusts and estates, like the insurance component, like there's all these financial instruments that are tangential or adjacent to the business and the owner of the business that are necessary to create a fully comprehensive, diversified portfolio of asset protection for you and your family.
I was going to say it's more for like the protection of it, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's a you have to thread the needle between the investment or growth side of those assets and the stability, safety, and protection of those assets, right?
Yeah.
Like there's a needle to thread there.
Yeah. Now, has that evolved like through like your relationships with the clients that you've had now, and like things that have come up then where you're like,
my degree at Virginia Tech was actually in finance.
Okay.
And then I went back to do accounting when I realized that anybody who works in finance doesn't know anything about accounting. So they're building their own house of cards.
Yeah.
Like nobody that does finance work understands double entry accounting. So my degree was actually like I was ready to sit for my CFP exam, Certified Financial Planner, right out of college, and then went back to do my CPA license. I never sat for the CFP. I don't have it. I'm not planning on using it. But
you have the knowledge enough that you were.
I know where it and how it fits into what I'm building. Yeah.
Got it. Yeah, I love that, because it's like multiple pieces. Like, and I've learned that. I mean, I've been in business now 8 years, and like different situations, right? Some different clients like have evolved certain services where you're like, oh, you know what, this is important, and like for future, then we work on this or we include it.
Most people only, and from the client side, most people only realize how important and necessary a service like that is after they have an issue.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily too late. It's too late for that event or that thing
Right,
that happened. But that learning, that kind of like kinesthetic learning is necessary for them to be like, oh, this is something that I'm never going to go without.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so like part of the education piece again is like let's get to that point where you understand that that you should never go without before you need it.
Yeah.
You know, like let's avoid that if we can.
How quickly do you feel like your clients like do start to love the accounting? When
Some
they...
never do. Yeah,
You're still trying.
Most never do. What they do love is like one of my kind of earlier clients who's still a very, very dear and close friend. The way I won't say he doesn't sell me, but the way he like evangelizes me to people that he meets when he talks about me is he like, all you need to hear is that before I met Hunter and before my business like really took off, I had a lot of sleepless nights. And then I met Hunter and he and his team took over everything and now I sleep like a baby. And like that's a good
enough testimonial right there.
For sure. And like not everybody needs to fall in love with it as deep as I am.
Right.
But so everyone's somewhere on the affections spectrum. Like some people just knowing that like just because they built a trusted relationship with me and my team, they know we've got it. Like that's enough. In some situations, depending on what your goals are. But again, going back to like you might stall out at a certain point if your goal is to build a lifestyle business and not a like high growth trajectory business, then stall out and work on efficiency and cash flow. Like, stall out doesn't have to be like, and I use the term stall out, but like stability doesn't have to be a bad thing.
Right. It really doesn't. So you always cover, like, well, obviously, just from like talking to you here, like I can tell you get to know the person like
first, almost always
down to like core of who they are, like what they. Because you're talking about what their goals
are. Your children, where you live, where your kids go to school, like everything else flows from there.
Yeah, I love that.
Because before we can ever build anything technical, me and my team need to understand like what makes you tick, like how do you make decisions, what are your goals, why do you have those goals, and once we understand that, then the rest of the technical can fall. Like the technical work is all basically a commodity at this point in our industry. We can find it anywhere. AI is going to take it over fairly soon, but like
I still don't trust AI numbers. But go ahead.
We're not there yet. Yeah, they're language models. They're not number math models. That's for sure. We're definitely not there yet. But yeah, it's just everything has to start there, and that can't be automated.
Do you find that there's a lot of people that have like a mindset block on money and financials and? Everyone. I don't know. Okay.
Literally everyone. Like, again, this isn't maybe a hot take or an unpopular opinion, and I don't want to offend any one or group of people, but I think everyone naturally has a really weird, kind of fucked up relationship with money. Mm-hmm. Which, to go as far as not only have your own non-emotional or weird relationship with money, but to take responsibility over other people's weird, fucked up relationships with money, it leaves a gap in the marketplace or the employment landscape for this type of role. And I think that a lot of people who get attracted to being accountants are somewhere on either the autism spectrum, maybe have Asperger's or something like that. It's like it's just an actual like biological genetic difference but it's water takes the path of least resistance, right? So like those people have found their way to roles in accounting, but then the ripple effect or the downstream effect of that is that they're not good at client communication, they're not good at the relationship building, they're like, you trust me because I'm good at the technical and what else matters, right? Like
the math is mathing.
Exactly, the math is and a lot of people will stay with people who don't hit all the other boxes just because the math is mathing. Like they're really good at what they do, and I'm accepting all the other things that aren't great about a service because I'm getting this awesome, amazing technical person. Yeah. And that has been true for a very long time, I think. And so I'm trying to solve for that. And again, this is a baby bathwater thing, but I'm trying to keep the baby. I'm like, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater is like where that comes from, right? Like I'm trying to keep the fact that these technical people are incredible and awesome, but they don't want to client-facing relationship and communicate. And so if we can build an entire ecosystem or infrastructure of our business that has project managers, client success managers that do the scheduling, they run the meetings, they have agendas, they do all of that stuff after the technical work has been done, and everyone's involved and everyone's doing their job, but it's like it's a reorganization of of the business model.
Yeah. And
we'll have a hard out in a few minutes. So.
Yeah. Okay. So you do have like that ability to or it's needed in your industry to have like those multiple components,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because obviously you want the best numbers person on your team.
Yeah.
Right. But that doesn't come with the miscommunication that happens like with your relationships and stuff.
How many times have you heard literally everyone say like, well, I'm hoping my taxes get done on time, but it's like 3 days before and I haven't heard from my CPA in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
It's like there's this weird like 3 weeks thing that like everyone says like, I don't know, I send an email and I don't hear from them for 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
It's just
something
like
with the threes.
It's a universal constant. It's some weird thing that just exists throughout our entire industry.
Yeah. So I know you're a busy guy, so you have meetings and things. So to kind of wrap this up, number one, if you're not paying attention, his website's been scrolling across the bottom this whole time. If you have any comments, questions, and the feedback, like once you're watching this on the replay, like put it in the comments. We'll keep an eye on that. We'll answer those for you. Or just reach out and ask him directly. That works too.
I'm always available.
Yeah. And so what is like one major thing that you wish all business owners paid more attention to or knew? One words of wisdom.
It's better to start this learning and organization and accounting process earlier than you think you need to, and spend a little more money before you think you need it, than to wait until you think you need it or it's too late, and then there's a mess of cleanup to do on the backside of trying to get into a good like onboarding and normal recurring service. It's where you get bogged down. It puts a strain and stress on the beginning of a relationship because your expectations of cost are unrealistic. So if you start early and you start like slowly kind of stair stepping or edging into cost and like service and therefore costs, and you build that as a ladder instead of coming in and like, we've got clients that start with us and they might end up somewhere close to $2,000, $2,500 a month, but we've got $15,000 or $20,000 worth of cleanup and onboarding to do before we can get there. And that sticker shock scares people, no matter how good we are at building a relationship and proving technical expertise.
Yeah.
So
you also don't work miracles.
No, of course not. Yeah. Like the work is what it is. Like,
Yeah.
and it is numbers. And so like the numbers don't lie. There's no like schmoozing consulting component of this, of like strategy stuff. It's like there's just actual that much technical cleanup. So it helps the beginning of the relationship process. It also kind of gives you a consistent understanding of cash flow, especially if your business is growing consistently. Like just build it in as a variable cost that's going to continue growing with you and your business.
I love that. Now, do you guys do kind of a check-in before, like someone, like if they can't afford your service long term,
sure.
like do you do like some kind of like a strategy call where you're like, hey, take a look at this?
I'll spend an hour talking to somebody if they want to pull up and screen share their QuickBooks. My team will do that. Like we love that, and then that's just good business. That's good business. It's good business development. Like, and then we tell them like, hey, for your business and for you as an individual and everything we understand. At the end of that call, we say, if and when this happens, dollar revenue complexity, your goals change, your allocation of resources or expense line item, any of those events, things happen at this level, we're here. Like just come back when you're ready. Or if you want to jump on another call in a quarter and like have us help you or tell you where you are, we do all that for free. Like that's just, we love it. It's fun for us.
Yeah, just come thinking, because if someone can't afford the service yet, but they know that they should at least start to look to make sure that like...
in an hour-long call, I'll tell you exactly what you need to do before you can afford to pay us to do it.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. Or keep a lookout for his podcast coming soon.
Yeah.
He'll be like sharing all that information.
I like being a guest. I don't know if I'm going to host.
Oh.
Yeah.
The guessing is fun too.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, when I come back, we can go like part 2 and like dive deeper into this.
Oh yeah, macroeconomics of the accounting industry for 4 hours. Let's do it. Yeah.
So exciting. We'll get all the people watching live. All right, guys, thanks so much for joining us. Again, any questions, put them in the comments. We'll keep an eye out for them. Hope you guys have a fabulous, fabulous weekend.